I'd like to share with you today a very simple line of thought. It was triggered by the fact that our university in Nalanda is going to take off next month in September. And it's going to be a joint effort of several countries which looked up to India in the ancient times. It's a symbol of a very resurgent India on the cusp of probably becoming eventually a world leader as it used to be once. When we look back at our history, we have a glorious history. And for far too long after our independence, we have been singing the glories of our ancient days, saying that we were a great civilization, that we excelled in trade, in culture, in religions, in all kinds of things. And then somehow we seem to have lost our way, and especially the 3-4 centuries where we were colonized by one group or another. We seem to have lost our personality as a nation, as a country. And after that, instead of evolving into a nation that rediscovers itself, we got mired down in the politics of that time. It is true that India was the leader of the non-aligned movement when the world was divided into the Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc, capitalism and communism, or democracy and communism. Capitalism under the guise of democracy, communism under the guise of real socialism. We formed that group of nations called the non-aligned nations. We looked for a place in the sun between these two warring groups. But our attempts were not sincere. We played for one or the other parties, and we did not have enough economic or political clout to make the stand that we made as the leader of the non-aligned group of nations effective in the world. We didn't have the clout. But today, that situation is changing. Today, we might say we are on the cusp of becoming a nation that can truly be great in the world. The resurgence of, or the introduction of Nalanda as a seat of learning is one of the symbols of that. We do have currently a Prime Minister who is very dynamic, who's managed to attract the mind of the nation towards issues that are of larger interest to our country. We have our economic miracle too taking place, with our industries being able to compete with the best in the world, with our technology that is probably the highest in the world, in the sense that it is mostly Indians who are working in all these technologically developed countries where new inventions are taking place. There is a move in our country today to attract them back and to say that there will be a theater and an arena for them to work in our own country and bring the fruits of politicians, whether they belong to the BJP or the Congress or the TMC or the SP or whatever hundreds of parties that we have, does not really matter, who seem to be having a mentality that politics is about making a life for themselves, not bothered much about the larger country and its interests. And if we do not take this historical opportunity as a nation that we are faced with, it will be a very big disaster. It will be a really great tragedy of our times. You're all young people standing here. I want to propose to you, you're thinking of becoming engineers, social workers, managers and all the rest. Well and good, professional life. Why don't you think seriously also about becoming politicians? Very soon in the university we will be having a master's program and maybe allied programs in ethics and governance. At the moment in our country, these two don't seem to go together, ethics and governance. And we intend to, in fact the other day I was discussing with the additional Chief Secretary who came here to inaugurate our classes, Mr. Das. This is precisely the need to today. We have a lot of very capable civil servants, very capable police personnel or army personnel who are able to take our country to the next step. But we are stuck with a political class of all parties, of all hues, who do not give the leadership that is required there. That is where, as Tapasum was saying in her speech, it's not merely the heroes of old that we need to look up to. We need to look up to and be grateful to them too, no doubt. But we need to have heroes of our time, coming from among you. I would very earnestly put it to you today, consider making politics a career too. And equip yourselves to become centers of excellence in areas where you find yourself. I'll give you just two examples. One, there is a village in Meghalaya, just at the border of Bangladesh, Mavely. It's considered the cleanest village in Asia. A lot of people go there, and tourism has become a way of life. Still, they maintain it. There is a village near Khetri here, where a group of young people got together, and they went into the dairy business in a very big way. And it was a communal effort of the village. Today, they not only make a very good life for themselves, they also have decided that they don't need dole-outs from the government. One of our continuous cries in our country today is, government must do it, or those in authority must do it. They must make the funds available. No, they have become very self-reliant. To the extent that they pay the tuition fees of all the students from that village who go to whatever study they go to the extent that they don't need the PWD to come and make their road, they are making it themselves. It's a village that is worth seeing. A lot of politicians have tried to go and influence them to be their patron and to go around and say that it is they who have, the politician who has done it. They kept them at bay, since we are not aligned to everyone. Today, as a country, we have reached the state where we don't need to be allied to America, or we don't need to be allied to Russia, and still we will be respected as a nation. And there is a unique contribution that we can make as a nation of secular democracy, of secular socialism, which can work wonders for our people. And I believe that's a model that needs to be projected. Capitalism, in spite of all its glamour, has failed because it promotes crass individualism. Socialism, understood as communism, has again failed because it ends up in totalitarianism, where the individuals have nothing to say. But we as a nation, with our rich history and with our belief in secular socialism, we can project a model to the world that can become very credible and that upholds the dignity of every person. And in that, I invite you to play a role. Become politicians with a conscience, with a will, and with a commitment to work for this nation while building up a life for yourselves. Let's pray for that, and let us hope that some of you in the years to come will heed this call. Jai Hind.